After contemplating 200 different escape methods, the man realized something important. Escaping from prison doesn't require thinking of something no one else has considered. Instead, it can be achieved with a method that everyone knows but thinks is impossible: making a key. Late at night, he covered the lock with a piece of paper and pressed his finger against it to create an outline of the keyhole. Then, he traced the outline with a pencil, capturing the shape of the lock. Next, he rolled up another piece of paper, inserted it into the keyhole, pinched the end with his finger, and pushed a pencil into the top to create 2 creases. This would represent the length of the key. The third step was to replicate the key's teeth. During mealtime, his fellow inmates would intentionally start a fight to distract the guards, giving Nick the chance to sneak a look at the guard's key. While playing basketball, he pretended to retrieve a ball near the fence, but he was actually observing the key again. Queuing up was another perfect opportunity for observation. Before long, Nick was able to sketch the shape of the key from memory. He repeatedly practiced drawing from new observations and compared his sketches each day. When he noticed that his drawings were nearly identical, he knew he had perfected the key's teeth. The next step was to actually make the key, and the answer was wood. The inmates often worked in the workshop doing carpentry, which provided Nick with a great opportunity to gather wood. He hid several small wooden strips in sandpaper and stuffed them at the bottom of his thermos, hoping to sneak them out. The only problem was that the guards checked the thermoses every time they finished work. They would knock twice and then pour out the coffee inside. When it was Nick's turn, the guard noticed he was extremely nervous and dumped all of Nick's coffee out, shaking the thermos vigorously. Fortunately, there was no sound of wood rattling inside because Nick had stuffed a cloth in there beforehand. That night, he finally began crafting the key. He carved out the grooves with a knife, sanded it down until it was smooth, shaped the handle, glued it together, and then placed it in a lampshade to heat it for a while. Finally, he carved the teeth, polished it repeatedly until the key from his memory emerged. Once finished, Nick inserted the key into the lock and turned it gently. To his surprise, the wooden key smoothly engaged the mechanism, and with a click, the lock opened. Unfortunately, his joy was short-lived as he faced another door. Each cell has 2 doors, and the other door is opened from the outside. How could he unlock it from inside? They began brainstorming solutions. One of his fellow escapees suggested using a string to pull the key from the opposite cell, perfectly inserting it into the lock. Nick listened for a moment before dismissing the idea. There was no way to turn the key that way. Then they realized that each cell had a mop, and they could extend the mop handle through the window to reach the keyhole. The next challenge was figuring out how to turn the key. While working in the workshop, Nick spotted a rotating axle and an idea struck him. He quickly set to work creating a simple turning mechanism. He took a piece of wood, drilled 2 holes, and then drilled a hole at the top of the mop handle. Using screws, he combined the 2 and secured the key to the axle. That part was done, but a new problem soon arose.